Megan's going to just share a little bit on her experience with this delegate topic and issue, and then we'll go into the question and answer portion. Megan?
My name is Megan. I'm a person in recovery. I want to thank Caroline County Community Recovery Center, I don't know the acronym, whatever, for hosting this. It's extremely important that in our communities we begin to bring awareness so that we can take action and begin to make change. And I want to thank the McShin Foundation for asking me to speak. They've been, I'm going to get emotional, so
It's all right.
they've been an integral part of saving my life and helped me make the decision to turn my life over to something greater and make change for myself. My clean date or my sober date is December 11th, 2010. And before I could take my last drink, I had to take my first drink. And I got drunk for the first time when I was 12 years old. And I immediately began to have consequences the first time that I drank. You know, I didn't drink because it was fun. I didn't drink because everybody else was doing it. I drank because it made me feel better about myself. I had been so sad my whole life. And when I drank alcohol for the first time, the hole in my heart disappeared. And I no longer was self-conscious about the way that I looked. I was no longer self-conscious about my family and how I fit into the world. And so for 15 years, I lived in insanity, in chaos, degradation, moral turpitude, abuse. You know, I suffered plenty of consequences from drinking, but it wasn't enough for me. You know, I had to make a decision within myself to do something about it. You know, the DUIs weren't enough. Selling my body to buy alcohol, you know, wasn't enough for me. Drinking mouthwash wasn't enough for me. Beating my mother wasn't enough for me. Being in mental institutions over and over and over again wasn't enough for me. You know, I don't know. I had tried recovery so many times before, and I just, you know, inevitably kept relapsing because I wasn't willing to do what the people around me were telling me to do. You know, I was immersed in a recovery community, and I was just unwilling to take their suggestions to try to change myself. You know, my thinking was so self-centered that all I wanted to do was change the way that I felt. You know, and alcohol was what I chose to do that with. Like, I have plenty of drugs in my story, but our focus today is alcohol, and it's just as detrimental as any other people's drug of choice. Like, I've witnessed so many people die in the 16 months that I've been clean, and some of them have been from alcohol. I'm going to a funeral tomorrow from a woman. She's 50 years old. She died from progressive alcoholism. You know, this is, like, I was never the person that thought, like, that's not going to happen to me. Like, I always thought, why is it not going to happen to me? You know, I have to live with that today. Like, I don't think that I'm, you know, if I were to drink today, I know that, like, I would immediately have a consequence because I can't drink just one. You know, it's been difficult in the past 16 months. It's not like I just made a decision that I wasn't going to drink anymore and I don't ever think about it. You know, there are days when I still want to drink to, like, solve my problems. But I know that drinking isn't the solution anymore. My solution exists in living in a recovery community and doing what these people tell me to do. You know, I feel that there's hope for anybody in this room who's struggling with addiction. You know, I was scared when I was really nervous to come here and speak tonight because I'm not used to speaking in this type of venue, and I didn't know what kind of people were going to be here. But it brings me great comfort to look around and see that I'm speaking in front of people who are just like me and know that I did these things because I have a disease. You know, this is the first time in my life that I have cared whether I was going to live or die. You know, I've wanted to die for so long, and alcohol just exacerbated that negative perspective that I had on life. You know, but it all begins with making a decision, making a choice to turn your life over. That's what I had to do for something. In the beginning, I did it for my family because I had zero self-esteem. Like, I didn't think that I was worth anything. So I had to make that decision for something, and over the course of 16 months, I have gained a little bit of self-esteem, and that I have a reason to live, and that I am worthy. You know, I've beat myself up for so long, and when I was entered into recovery, my spirit and my soul had been tattered. You know, I'd held myself hostage for so long, you know, and it was the alcohol that was doing it. I wasn't, you know, for so many years, I drank against my will. I didn't want to drink and I couldn't stop. I remember my oldest brother, who's not an alcoholic, he said, "Megan, why don't you just quit drinking?" And I remember this one particular time, like I live in Beaver Dam. I used to live in Beaver Dam, and I would just be by myself and just drink in the woods, because I'd gotten so sick that's the only thing I could be surrounded by. Nobody wanted to mess with me, because people who were around me, I wanted to hurt them, hurt myself, commit suicide. I was just a maniac. And I remember I was in the woods drinking, and I had to physically fight myself. I was trying to pour the alcohol out, and I couldn't even do it. You know, even then, I was living in such a level of denial that I didn't even know that I had a problem. You know, it wasn't until I came immersed in people just like me that said, "You're not crazy. You know, there's nothing wrong with you. It's not that you don't have any morals and values. You're an alcoholic." You know, and it was refreshing to me to know, like, I had an understanding of how I'd been my whole life. I just thought that I was crazy, you know. But I've come to understand that I'm an alcoholic, and I have to focus on the solution. Each day that I wake up, I focus on the solution, and that's recovery. Like, just for today, no matter what, I will not drink. And I can't do it alone. It starts by being in these little communities and, like, uniting together to make change. Like, that's the beautiful thing about this, is that we can do something about this. You know, it starts, like, I feel like my purpose today is to carry the message and be a face and voice of recovery, that anybody can recover. You know, but it starts with us. We have to do something about it. And I thank everybody for being here today. And if you have a problem with alcohol and you don't know what to do, please come talk to me after this, and I will help, hopefully guide you so that you can be in the solution as well. I really appreciate you all listening. Thank you so much.